this channel. I'll say thank you 30slut.com or whatever. Here's a link
Right.
to their YouTube channel. So,
I got you. Yeah,
but there's so many, dude. It's a lot.
It's a great idea because people are going to enjoy. People are going to watch the video just for that.
Right. Yeah. What is up? What's up? Billy's already in here. Appreciate you, Billy. Jumped in. He's a TBC friend. Already jumping into the membership. Appreciate you, Billy. You're going to get so many benefits. It's going to blow your ears off. I got to announce this, but first I want to try and get my guy, Tyvis Powell, to announce it for us. So I'm going to share this video Tyvis did for us.
Hi, my name is Tyvis Powell, former Ohio State Buckeye and national champion DB. Welcome to the Buckeye Cast. These guys was born and bred in the Buckeye State, and they like to talk Buckeye football and drink bourbon. Subscribe to the show. Now pour up a drink and pull up a stool. Here's your host, Joe Warwick. Get him, Joe.
Okay, thank you, Tyvis. We appreciate you. You guys
pick
that up? All right. Hopefully everybody on the stream got it. What's up, Paul? Paul's in here. Billy, appreciate you jumping on as a TBC friend. So the TBC friend program is no joke. You're gonna get, this is members only, TBC friends. You get members only videos, recruiting live streams we're gonna do, community posts just for the membership, live chats. You get a free shirt from the BuckeyeCast.com. You can reach out to me to get your free shirt. Just tell me which one you want, size, color, and where to send it. That's it. But you can contact me directly, email, or through the comments, whatever. And we're going to give you discount codes to the BuckeyeCast.com. I'm going to be loading up a bunch of new designs soon. We have a ton in there that have been flying off the shelves. So go check it out, the BuckeyeCast.com for that. But your entire membership is through YouTube. So it's 100% safe. And I appreciate that. We already got Derpy's already in here. He's got his opinion already laid out. He says, yes, he is on the hot seat. We haven't even got to it yet. But yeah. So you guys, they're loving. I'm glad everybody got to see the Tyvis Powell intro. If you haven't seen it, please back it up. You got to see Tyvis. Did us a little favor. Appreciate him. I think it's safe to say he's a friend of the program, right, Jeff?
He's my friend. I call him a friend. That was huge, Tyvis. That was huge, man. I like listening to that dude. He's always he's a real upbeat guy. You hear him on the 97.1 radio station in Columbus occasionally. He's always, anytime I hear his voice, it makes me smile, man. He's just he's an upbeat dude. I'm glad we got with him to do that for us. That's cool.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, Derpy is already saying and then we Steven, Steven Cherry's already got an opinion. Doesn't even matter. He's like, yep, Ryan Day should firmly be on the hot seat if he can't beat Team Up North this year. Derpy's basically on the same channel. Yeah. Shawn's going to be joining us shortly, but so obviously, we got to pull up a stool and pour a drink. I know we're jumping into it a little early, but everybody, we appreciate you joining us. You can help the program by joining the TBC Friends membership. Much appreciated. We're trying to build this platform up, and when fall hits, we're going to really go nuts. We're almost at 1,800 subscribers. We're just a couple away last I looked. So as you know, you're always going to get your weekly TBC Live, your daily blitz, any breaking news, press conferences, player interviews, all that stuff. And you're going to get extra recruiting live shows with your membership. You're going to get a free t-shirt from the buckeyecast.com, promo codes going forward, all kinds of benefits. So hit me up if you got questions, and we'll go through those. But tonight we're talking 100% Ryan Day. I know it's May, but is Ryan Day on the hot seat if he loses to Michigan this season? Has Shawn joined yet? No. Okay, just check. But I want to lay this out. So Ryan Day has a 45-6 record as Ohio State's head coach. That's 4 full seasons plus the 3 in 2018 when he filled in for her. He has the highest winning percentage of any active coach in the country, an 88% winning percentage. 2 Big Ten championships, 3 appearances in the college football playoffs. So we know Michigan is 60, 52, and 6 in 118 meetings against the Buckeyes. So I'm just trying to lay out the landscape so you guys know where we're at. I'm going to talk about win streaks. I've got winning streaks by either team of 4 or more. As it loads, it's going to show me, and I will tell you. Okay. So do we need to talk about 1901 to 1909, Jeff?
That's a big hell no. Right around the turn of the previous century does not matter to me.
Yeah.
Ford was just figuring out how to put a car together. No.
Right.
Yeah, Michigan. I tell them all the time, like, you guys killed it before electricity. You guys were killing it in this rivalry,
Yeah.
but no, that don't mean shit.
1922 to 1927 probably doesn't matter either. Then you got the 1930s. Buckeyes won 4 in a row. So basically, I'm telling you, anytime a team won 4 in a row, let's start with 1960. I mean, is that the least we can do? It was only fucking 63 years ago. Most of us were not alive. Well, I shouldn't say that. Some were barely, but anyway. So Ohio State won 4 in a row, 1960 to 1963. Then the Cooper era, 1988 to 1991. Michigan won 4 in a row. Then the 2000s set in, and Michigan went on a bit of a bold streak, let's call it. 2004 to 2010, Ohio State won 7 in a row. 2012 to 2019, Ohio State won 8 in a row. Yes, we lost 1 game in there between 04 and 19. So, Jeff, let's start it with, I guess, streaks. Let's talk streaks, really, because that's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about 3 losses in a row to Michigan potentially this year. Is that the focus, or should we be looking at a longer term, bigger picture, like a John Cooper type of record?
Does it
matter now? Does it matter now that if we lose 3 in a row, or does it matter like over a coach's resume, like longevity wise?
I mean, I think it matters in both cases. I think it probably matters more for Ryan Day's legacy long term, because theoretically we could do what we did last year, lose to Michigan, say it's our only loss, and we still make the playoff. You know what I mean? It could happen again this year. Very unlikely with, putting 2 Big Ten teams in again, but if the scenario is right, it could happen. So it's not taken away from our main goal, which is our national championship hopes. But for the legacy of Ryan Day, just like the legacy for John Cooper was, I think it's very, very important. It's important to me as and probably to most of you as beloved bleeding scarlet and gray Buckeye fans, to have your fucking best friend who's a Michigan fan finally laughing at you again like the 90s. He's like, yeah, 90s are back. I cannot stand that. And it makes me, upset to the nth degree. But
Right.
I think it's more important for his legacy than it is for our main goal, which is our national title hopes. He's got that program running where we are national title focused. Unfortunately, he is missing one of the last bumps, getting one of the last hurdles on the way to that.
Right. Yeah, we've got some good comments already in the chat. I got to touch on Billy Tuesday is probably one of our best commenters. Between him and PC, they're the most consistent and got the best takes. Actually, they're in line with us a lot, but it doesn't mean that they're that other takes are right or wrong. But I appreciate their takes the most because I see them the most often. But Billy says that on the hot seat, if he doesn't win in 24, he's gone. Yeah, Billy says that between 1897 and 1918, we couldn't win since we won a lot. I mean, I don't know how we can honestly discuss those years, but it's true. We did lose them officially. Derpy, I don't think Ryan Day is Cooper. Let me lay out some John Cooperisms for you. The Cooper era was 1988 to 2000. So starting in 1988, Michigan won that year. They won 1989. They won 1990. They won 1991. Then we had a tie in 92. So they won 4 in a row, then a tie. Okay. Ryan Day hasn't reached that same threshold yet. So we got to keep that in mind. Excuse me. Then Michigan wins in 93. Buckeyes win in 94. Michigan wins 95, 96, 97. Buckeyes win 98. Michigan wins 99, 2000. Buckeyes win 2001 and 2002. And that's the Tressel year already. So like I said, Cooper is 88 to 2000. So you did have a stretch of Michigan winning 4 in a row and just 2 in a row, but never 3, right? So, well, they won 4.
No, he won.
3, so
yeah, Cooper struggled. I mean, for sure. Cooper. That was the whole reason he was gone. He brought in. He did a lot for Ohio State with the national recruiting and stuff, and getting some of the best talent. We had some of those teams, that 95 team, some of those 98 teams, those were loaded ass teams that we were favored against Michigan. And similar to these last couple of years, they ran it all over us. Or that's what they did in the 90s, but they hit the big pass plays. But I don't know. I don't know. Do we think he's on the hot? The answer to the question, is he on the hot seat? I think there's going to be 3 years in a row here where we're not favored this year. There's going to be a lot of talk. There's going to be a lot of pressure, but I don't think it's going to be from Gene Smith. So I don't think Ohio State University is going to have him on the hot seat as much as media and fans will. Rightfully so. You got to think, though, if we get into that, we can't beat a rival, so then we just got to go chase other coaches. Teams have done that, Texas and Florida, and then they fucking burning through coaches every couple of years, and then their programs fall off because there's no consistency. From the recruiting standpoint, what he's doing as far as developing offensive talent and quarterbacks and first-round picks, that's Ohio State wants that, I think. I think he's the right guy for the job. He just can't fucking lose that game anymore. And this year's going to be the toughest year out of the 3, from the last 2. But I don't think the school will put him in the hot seat at all.
Right. And it really depends on how the season plays out. Is it one of those 11-1 regular seasons where we still get into the playoffs? I mean, like last year, it's odd. It doesn't happen often, probably won't happen again. I really doubt it. But Stephen Cherry makes a great point in the chat, and I got to highlight this. The Kerry Combs hire as defensive coordinator set the day era back tremendously. And I agree 100%. He should never have been brought in as a defensive coordinator. Never. Excellent position coach, not a X's and O's guy. Excellent motivator, great culture guy, like Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer
Right.
was not an X's and O's guy. He hired people to do that. Kerry Combs, not a schemer. And that's why he basically was shown the door from the Tennessee Titans. He wasn't a DC there. So yeah, I agree 100% with Stephen Cherry. Yum. Well, I got this new, well, it's not new. It's been sitting in my bar for a while, but I just refound it. It's kind of buried. This Bardstown Fusion series. So basically it's from Kentucky, but it's 3 different bourbons kind of blended, kind of like you hear about blended scotches, like Johnny Walker.
Yeah.
Crushed some Johnny Walker bottles this week too, by the way. But anyway, so this Bardstown Fusion series, it's they're doing like a few different bottles of this, and it's got 3 different bourbons. The shit is smooth as hell. If you run into it, check it out. It's got like they have different levels. The one I have is a blue label, but just wanted to mention that while we're in the throes of talking.
Yeah, I stopped at the liquor store that the guys he probably has by far the best bourbon selection around. So I usually stop in there to see what he has new. He had a bunch of Bardstown bottles up that I just noticed a couple days ago. I didn't buy anything. I was just kind of looking. I was waiting. My food was ready next door at the Chinese takeout place. So, but yeah, he had some Bardstown in there. It also has some Castle and Key. I think you had mentioned that before.
Oh, that shit is awesome, man.
Yeah.
Here's what the Bardstown looks like on screen.
Yep.
That's the Fusion series. That's the one I have. Yeah. It's good stuff. I would recommend it. Like I said, it's a blend of 3 different bourbons, but that's unusual. But it tastes good. Just wanted to point that out while we're in the middle of talking. What'd you say they had at the store you went to?
Oh, they had a bunch of the Bardstown. They had a couple different labels. He has some new. Yeah, he had most of the stuff is all old. Just stuff that's been around. But yeah, he had that Castle and Key that I mentioned. I remembered you mentioning it a while ago, and I haven't found it anywhere. So I'll be back in there.
Recommend it, man.
I'll grab a bottle of each of those this week, probably.
Yeah, it's like 40 to 45 for a bottle, but that's really smooth stuff. I got their rye is called Restoration Rye. It's a little bit different. It's a very different label, but the cap is the same. It's a heavy duty, like metal cap. It's pretty strong, but anyway, check that out if you're in there and they have it. What else we got going on here in the chat real quick? Derpy, still upset. People got their feelings upset about him lying when he were winning and we let Meyer walk. You're talking about Urban Meyer, I take it, back in 2018. Not sure anybody else was going through that, but it's a good point. Billy says, if we hadn't won the championship game in 2015, would you still be as high on Meyer? Yeah. Probably should have won more than one championship, right? I mean, he fucked up this 2015 season.
he put the offense in the wrong hands. He didn't have any good hands to put the offense in my opinion. But yeah, that was mismanaged. That's not just our opinion. I've heard maybe a handful of players, starters and players
like
on
all
that
the
team.
players.
Yeah, they've all commented about now. We didn't have our shit together for the most part. What they're saying, but if we didn't make it in 2014 to the playoff and didn't win it, and then he didn't, then his only appearance would have been in 2016 when Deshaun Watson curb stomped us. Him 0-1 in the playoff. Yeah, that would have looked real bad. Completely different. Urban would have still been highly regarded for 7-0 against Michigan. But he might not have a room at his bar called the 7-0 room if there wasn't a national title or a playoff appearance with that. You know what I mean?
The 6-1 room doesn't have the same ring to it.
Even the 7-0 room, when you don't have any, you're only one playoff appearance and you got beat up.
Yeah, right.
That would look really bad.
Yeah.
But we had the talent to win 3. We had the talent to win probably 3 national titles in Urban's era. And we've had the talent in Day's era, I think 3 years. I would say three of those 4 years we have.
Yeah.
So, Ryan Day's he's 1-3 now against Michigan, right? Or 1-2? 1-2 because we didn't play him one year.
Ryan Day is
beat him in 19. Didn't play him in
2.
20.
Yeah, 1-2, and we don't get credit for the forfeit.
Right.
When somebody didn't show up. But
yeah. Well, 2020 is a mess. What a mess.
Right. I think the people that want to instantly put Ryan Day in the hot seat, I think you got to remember this is only his 4th year as a full-time head coach, and he's only been a college coach for 5-6 years. So I think you got to have some patience. Again, the defense is a big problem that let us down through the last, I don't know, I would say 2020, 2021, and again, when you keep changing and rotating out defensive coordinators every year, this is what happens. And when Urban Meyer hired a shitty defensive secondary coach to recruit. That dude was terrible. Who was that dude? He ended up coaching in the NFL. Tabor Johnson. Yeah. He brought in 0 dudes in 2018. 0. He was a non-recruiter.
And coming off of 2017, when you had Shaun Wade, Jeff Okudah, that 2017 class was Chase Young, Baron Browning, J.K. Dobbins, like one of the all-time classes we've ever had, and couldn't follow it up with any momentum, in 18.
Yeah, you had the Bosa's. There was plenty of talent on the team. There was no shortage of that, and that's another strength of Urban Meyer that you're going to always. That's the thing is, being Ryan Day, you're always going to be compared to the previous coach, and the previous coach just happens to be one of the best of all time. Urban Meyer. Yeah. So it's an unfair comparison going forward, but I think if Michigan got lucky in the 2020 season by not showing up, I would put money on the fact that Harbaugh made that decision and just willingly ruled guys out, maybe that didn't fail COVID tests. And because you notice they really did a 180 in the 21 season.
Yeah,
that was a different team altogether.
That game, that season was shit for them. I think where were they? They had 3 or 4 wins or something. Like they were really bad.
It was a garbage season.
I'm sure he's like, no, we're not taking the team up there. We're just gonna waste a trip. What are we doing? This season sucks. He was all fed up with it anyways. So that record could be 2-2.
Game, I think it would have been a different story, right?
Sure, I think so. Yeah, I think they would have played it. I think he almost would have had, like, well, if they come, we got to play them. That type of thing.
So we just show up knocking on their fucking door. Hello,
no assholes.
Here.
Put your fucking helmets on, assholes. Come on outside. We'll meet you at the 50.
Come take your beating. Come get your beating.
Yeah, we got. So Ryan Day could, 1-3 and 2-2.
Thank you, Elijah.
2-2 does sound a whole lot better than 1-3, or 1-2, but that season was trash. I mean, we did get our redemption against Clemson, which was beautiful to watch. So it is what it is. But yeah, the defense has, Ryan Day has not failed to develop quarterbacks or failed to bring elite offense to the Big Ten. He has done that. He has done that better than anyone could have imagined when they brought him in. But the major gaffes in our defensive play in big games, Oregon. I mean, hell, the game against Utah, we barely hung on and had a shootout. But the Michigan games with the big chunk plays, Oregon running the same goddamn off tackle counter that we saw 3 times and couldn't defend it. All those big games that we've lost. Alabama 2020, that was almost a wash because that's an all-time team that we faced. But still, we had a team to win the national title in 2020, coming off that Clemson Sugar Bowl. So, but the defense couldn't stop anybody in any of those games.
Yeah.
Georgia.
We got schemed up.
This past year.
The defense got schemed up by Sark.
And that's
they got the matchups they wanted. Devontae Smith, running wild through the secondary.
Right. So, I mean, but the COVID year, we didn't have everybody there. Whatever. I mean, it's COVID year. It was almost like it didn't really happen. but Bama's counting that national title. Believe that.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I mean,
we would have counted it if we wanted.
And so you go back to what you said, Joe, about how let's see how the season unravels. Sure, if we say Kyle McCord doesn't look like a first-round draft pick at quarterback for the first time in 4 or 5 years, Buckeye fans are like, well, what do you mean our quarterback's not one of the best in the country? Our quarterbacks have always been, or at least they have been. If he doesn't develop, and say we have some key injuries on the defensive line, JT or Jack goes down, and then we're playing, just subpar on the offensive line, maybe some injuries there, and we battle and we fight and claw, and it's a 10-2 or a 9-3 year, overcoming a bunch of injuries and shit that goes wrong, and Kyle McCord's not a first round pick. I don't think that's, we go up to Michigan with 2 losses and then we take an L up there and we fight and we just didn't have enough to handle them. I don't think that's an indictment on him so much, but if we go, I don't even know. If we go 11-0 and then go up to Michigan and get curb stomped, I think that'll be even worse than a 9-3 battling, overcoming.
I can't see how
issues.
I guess your point, but I can't see how we go 9-3 or even 10-1 going into the Michigan game. I don't see a lot of challenges, so yeah, I can't see
I'm
that.
talking calamity, bro. I'm for us to lose 3 games before, or 3 games or 2 games before we get to Michigan. I'm talking calamity. Shit goes completely wrong.
Even one, I can't get there.
I mean, but we're at Wisconsin, we're at Notre Dame, Penn State's at home. All those teams think they can play with us. All 3 of those do. I guarantee all 3 of them will have confidence that they can play with us. No, whether they can or not, I don't think they can if we played our full potential, just because of our talent level. But if we don't,
right,
and if we don't, then that's an indictment on the coach as well.
Well, Joe, hey,
there he is.
Welcome in, Slim.
What's up, Shawn?
How's it going, guys?
Did you see the intro tonight?
I did not. I did
First
not. No, I just
all right. Well, later
jumped in
you
the
could
car
back
and
it
got
up,
one
rewatch it, and then back it up again tomorrow and rewatch it again just to get those
All right.
viewers up.
Will do. Will do.
Appreciate it.
No, it's not a matter of, or should we not win 11 games going into Michigan? We absolutely should. But I mean, it's football, and yeah, it's like nobody's going to curb stomp us, I don't feel, but we'll be our own worst enemy. That's where Ohio State will lose a game. I mean, come on, Purdue and Iowa have stomped us with good teams. So I mean, you have an offensive line that to me is you got a quarterback that we don't know about yet, and like Jeff said, I like the D line, but get a couple key injuries there, and now that's an issue. So, and to me, I don't. That's not going to fall on the coaching necessarily. I guess maybe you don't have the right guys to coach an O line, but if that O line doesn't come together, how are we going to expect McCord or Brown to be that high draft pick guy?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I understand your point. I think that, like I said in today's Buckeye Blitz, I am a huge Kyle McCord guy. I think he has everything we need, and he has 3 easy games up front, like a preseason almost, to get started in his first year as a starter. I know the Akron game he had as a true freshman, not a big deal. Wasn't asked to do a whole lot. Again, it was Akron. So, but I think Kyle McCord has 3 weeks to get his feet wet. Then you go to Notre Dame, and by that point, he should be more than comfortable working the offense. But staying on the entire theme of today's show is, winning or losing against Michigan this season, this particular year. So, Shawn, what is your verdict? Is Ryan Day on the hot seat, and should he be called to question if he loses 3 years in a row? Hello.
What say you, Shawn?
Hello.
It's not a make or break year for Ryan Day in regards to Michigan. I think if the things don't go bad and the quarterback play looks like shit and the O-line play looks like shit and you go 7-5, okay, now Ryan Day, what the fuck's going on? But if you put together a good team, a championship level team that can compete and lose to Michigan, no, Michigan's rolling right now. That offense is going to be really freaking good. Their defense is a problem, but going up there, they got the momentum right now. It's not can we beat them? Absolutely. Will we beat them? I don't know. Right now, we're not favored in that game, so Vegas doesn't think so. But it's not a make or break for me. If 12 months from now we're having this thing, if heaven forbid, we were to lose that game, 4th year in Columbus. Okay, yeah, now I'm getting some Cooper vibes for sure.
Yeah,
but
we talked about that off the top of the show. With the comparisons to Cooper, there was only 1 year or one stretch during the Cooper era where he lost 4 in a row. There was another stretch where the Buckeyes lost 3 in a row. Cooper was 88 to 2000, had a tie, and then 1 Buckeye win in 94. But since then, we talked about this. It's been all Buckeyes except for the last 2 years. The all-time record doesn't matter because this goes back.
No, Yale's got the all-time national championship record. I mean, yeah, who gives a shit?
Exactly. Yeah. So Minnesota has a bunch of rings, so what are we talking about? But I want to touch on a couple of comments here. Comments have been hot and heavy tonight. We appreciate everybody. Billy getting in there. Steve and Cherry, of course, coming in. Elijah, new guy. to the comments. We appreciate you. Yeah, he said that Team Up North was 2-4 in 2020. Yeah, they didn't have a fucking chance if they'd have showed up in Columbus. What else? What do we got here?
Didn't they practice the next day after they canceled our game as well? Just
did they?
I
I don't recall that.
I'm pretty sure that
But,
was like a
yeah.
big scandal. Like it's like, oh, you guys are going to practice the next day after the game. It's like, what? But you won't play us. Yeah,
I think that was
firmly
reported.
believe that was a hardball decision to not show up in Columbus. If the game, like we just talked about a little while ago, we said that if the game were in Ann Arbor and the Buckeyes showed up and were pounding on the gates, they would have played the game, right?
Well, I don't know. Probably not with a 2-4 Michigan, but if it was a 5-1 Michigan would be, well, they might not. They'd still probably duck us to say, well, we don't want to be 5-2. But yeah, they wanted no part of that.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing Elijah says, yeah, we should beat Notre Dame, Penn State, Wisconsin. I agree. Steven, though, says Purdue and Iowa was during the Meyer era. And that's the thing is, that's a big difference when we're talking comparisons. If we're going to change the topic now to comparing Ryan Day to Urban Meyer, Ryan Day has not lost those Purdue and Iowa games. Right. He has not lost those yet. So the only games we lose are in big time games against big time opponents. You got to remember, Michigan is now a top 5 team in the country in the last 2 years. They suddenly, after COVID, like I talked about earlier, they took that year off from getting their ass kicked in Columbus and made the best of it. They made that program one of the best in the country in the 21 and 22 seasons. So
I don't know. I think the Big Ten was down. I think they got hyped for us, but anytime that they go anywhere to play any real team, I mean, TCU beat them, and the year before that, Georgia, just fucking put a bullet in them.
Yeah, it didn't look like Georgia. Yeah, both of those games, that was a struggle against TCU. I watched every play of that game with our Michigan friend as we led into the Buckeye game. That was like a back and forth game, like big plays. Michigan would fail to connect on a few. You're right, Joe. They are a top 5 program. They are the preeminent force in the Big Ten. I mean, they've won the last 2 Big Ten titles and beat us both years. So we have to give that to them and know that now we're hunting that Big Ten title, not defending it. And they're loaded, and this is probably their best team since Urban or Day have been in. I would say since the Trestle area. Since Carr had that team in 2007. This is probably their best team. So us going up there, Shawn, to your point, I was saying it earlier. I don't think there's any, even with a loss to Michigan this year, it can't look any uglier than the last couple where we just can't stop anybody. But I don't think there's going to be pressure from the university or Gene Smith on Ryan Day. But the media and fans are going to definitely want some action. You'll have 20%
of the fans. You'll have 20% of the fans that start to get pissed off and whatnot, and you'll have about 70% of the media that fucking want to because it's just something to talk about. Oh, Ryan Day 0-3, he's on the hot seat. They'll push that.
It's a headline forever. Yeah,
sure,
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I ain't writing them off yet.
No. I think losing 3 in a row is a big deal. It's a cause for concern because I think this defense, which has been the weak spot over the last couple of weeks. Oh, we got some. Look at all these new people in the chat. I'm appreciating this. Elijah, new guy, appreciate you. DSGP, what's up? Where you been? We got our guy, Buckeye Bob from Seattle. Appreciate you joining us. And we got badass Buckeye. He seems like he might be the best one ever. He says we're not losing to Michigan this year because our defensive line against the run will be better than the last 2 years. Yeah. That's a huge part of it. And that you took me right where I was going to go, badass Buckeye. And I would say this defense is definitely going to be better. I'm talking top 5. I've been saying this for months since the end of the season last year. This defense is going to be much better. You're kind of filtering out some of the not so strong points, and you got guys that are in the second year of the defense. We've gone through 4 different defenses in the last 4 years. Eventually you got to fucking give some guys a consistent, plate to work from. And I think this second year in the Noles defense is going to be huge. Go ahead, Shawn.
Yeah, but the problem is right now is Michigan's offense is like Jeff said, it is loaded. That O-line's going to be solid as shit. They got Corum back. They got Donovan Edwards back. You got to account for them. The receivers are decent, I think. Nothing great, but you got McCarthy,
they're all back.
And the way he's going to run this year. You got to account. It's the Urban Meyer thing where we've got the running quarterback, and it's tough to account for all those guys. They're going to have their hands full, and Michigan's going to want to play man ball with you and pound it down your throat, and that's again probably why they lose when they get to these bigger games, because we did that shit for a while too, and then realized, hey, why do we go to national championship games or playoff games to get our ass kicked? You got to change it to compete with those guys. You got to put together more of I feel like more of a Buckeye style team than a Michigan type team.
Right.
Because there for a while it was getting so bad with this rivalry. I mean, the hatred was always there, but I was kind of discounting like, hey, it isn't all about Michigan anymore. We need to build the team to beat Clemson, to beat Alabama, to beat Georgia. The Michigan, that's a has-been shit. That's just fun. And I think Michigan might be going through those growing pains right now. They got a hell of a team to compete in the Big Ten. But I don't know if that translates beyond that. But that we've got a team that competes with those others might make us a little more vulnerable to a team like Michigan. So again, a lot of weapons. Like you said, we got schemed up last year. Knowles, I put more pressure on Knowles this year. I mean, unless Ryan Day, scores 17 points, if Day scores 30 or more, then he did his job, and Knowles has to tighten it up. And, we can't give up 38 points and expect to win.
Yeah, exactly. That's the key especially when you come to a playoff game or even an equal rival or an equal, where talent's equated, where what Ryan Day likes to say is, if talent's equated like a Penn State and Michigan, you got to keep that team from scoring more than 20, and you have to score 40. That's always been the average that you need to hit, especially when you talk about playoffs. That's the goal. If you let the other team score more than 40, like we saw with Georgia, you're not going to win that game probably. And I'm not talking precisely 40, but you get the gist. Let's see. Steven has a great question here. Yes, the defense will be better, but will it be big game better? I believe so. I believe
it has to be.
This defense is going to be better. I'm telling you, you got returning linebackers that are, best in the country. You got, I think Steven, more pressure on Knowles, actually, who, Day is the CEO that handpicked him. I get that. But I think there's more pressure on Jim Knowles in this Michigan game. If he gives up those, zero blitz, big plays where he leaves a corner on an island and he has no safety help and the corner doesn't make the tackle and the guy goes for 75, that's another if we see like any kind of reiterations of the 2022 game, in any form, that is a big, big problem. And those issues should be probably seen well before the Michigan game, I believe. But,
Yes, Joe. Yes.
we'll see.
Correct.
If those happen in the Michigan game, right? Go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say, I fully agree that there is more pressure on Jim Knowles than Ryan Day this year. And that'll be from the administration, everybody coming to Ryan Day, saying, hey, you made us pay this guy $2 million a year. And he's the one that's giving up your good game to Michigan, or he's the one that's giving it up. Yeah, and like you said, referring to those big plays in last year's game, if the corner's alone, and if the problem with some of those plays, the corner didn't know he didn't have help. That's the biggest fucking problem too. That corner was expecting, or he
played it like
there.
He didn't have help,
right?
Yeah.
Which means he thought that there was going to be help. So like that miscommunication and not understanding, which. If it was something as simple as that, whereas he thought the one safety was rolling over and he could peer into the backfield a little bit, that shit has to be
that's swipe or the knockdown.
All that will be corrected if that's just a second year in the system and knowing the system better. That little stuff will be corrected alone. Everybody's a year better, I would say, another year experience for sure. And you'd like to think that everybody that's going to be playing in that defensive rotation has improved, and if they haven't, then we're going to not see them playing as much, I would think. I totally expect our defense to be much better. You're right, Joe. I do have confidence in Knowles' system. But if it's another one of those games where we score 30, we score 34 or 36 and Michigan scores 49. Yeah, there's going to be a shitstorm with Jim Knowles' fucking name attached to all of it. Not so much Ryan Day, because Ryan Day will be a stand-up guy. Yeah. He'll take all the shots for it, knowing he probably has he has the confidence of the administration. But he's going to be, that could lead to some inner turmoil, I guess, in our whole coaching staff. Yeah. With guys maybe leaving, Larry Johnson.
Right.
But I have
the down the road.
I have the confidence you have, Joe, that our defense will be much better, and we won't get those games where the defense is just giving away 3 big plays for touchdowns a game, and we have to overcome it on offense. I don't picture that happening. I don't know if the offense will be as automatic as it's been the last 3-4 years. None of us will know that until we see Kyle McCord be on the level of the previous 2 quarterbacks. If he can be that, if he's on that level, then we're playing. Then we should be playing for national title. If he just doesn't have it, that determines everything. Yeah.
Did you guys happen to hear the Buckeye rush hour I did on Friday? If you haven't, we had a couple questions about the scheme. I believe it was Travis was asking about changing the scheme again, and it just got it just sent shivers up my spine, because he's like saying that Georgia runs a 3-4 where we run a 4-3 at Ohio State, and I'm just like, can we please stop trying to change the defensive scheme? It was really frustrating, but I understood Travis's point, and I understand that trying other things is good, but we haven't even had 2 seasons in a row of the same defensive coordinator. So I was I was super frustrated. I hope that didn't come through on the show, but I just wanted to make it clear that Georgia's defense is much different than just in scheme. It's really easy to say Georgia has a good defense when you look at the talent level, right? It doesn't matter what scheme you run, pretty much, with a Georgia or an Alabama, it doesn't matter. But I was just concerned that people think that constantly changing the scheme is the solution. No, it's not.
Joe, I would like to reach out.
It's perfecting the scheme, getting it down, everything. You're not confused. And when you're not confused, you're just going to play that much faster.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead, Jeff.
That was the point I was going to hit on, Shawn. and I would like to pull Travis aside and kind of have that conversation with him. We don't need to change the scheme. This guy, if we all thought Ryan Day is a pretty good coach and pretty smart guy, if he decided that this guy was the best guy to bring in and he's worth $2 million a year to run a defense, we should probably have a little more faith in him. And he's never had the talent at where he's been coaching like he has access to here. So let's give him a second year to get this system perfected and get our players that are talented more than every team they play. We have more talent, top to bottom than every team on our roster or on our schedule. It's been that way for years now. So get him to get his system perfected before we even try to start changing something. But like that big caveat, if the same warts show that showed last year, with everything supposed to be being better, everybody's older, more experienced, and second year, there's no they need the third year. No, there's none of that. You have a full year now, a full calendar year of being in the system and knowing what's expected of you on defense, and they're super talented. So if it doesn't relate to plays on the field being made in big games, then there's a problem. But we got to give it this year with Knowles. We don't need to try. I hope he's just perfecting what he's been installing and not doing more. We have the guys to play any type of defense he wants. We don't recruit to the 3-4. We just Georgia and Alabama run that defense, and it's not really a true 3-4 either. But that's just not. We don't have that defense, and we can win a national title without running the same defense that they run. We don't have the same kids they run, that they get. So we don't, don't think we just need to go with what Georgia does because that's what wins. We have what it takes to win. They just have to prove it.
I think we do have the guys.
Yeah,
I mean, we haven't had that Georgia seems to have had lately is like generational talent at the tackle spot. I mean, you can't do anything on those guys up front, and
they have several
like that. But Bama's run through some years like that and it's such a difference. They destroy your O-line, and obviously that makes it hard on everybody.
Right. And we've had that problem with Mike Hall and Tyleek. Like Tyleek was out of shape. He's been out of shape until I hope he's in shape now, but it's taken him 2 years to get into shape, and he couldn't play every play. Not that a D tackle is going to play every play, but he could not play up to normal level of a D tackle. And then Mike Hall had the shoulder injury. I mean, he went through that 5-game stretch where he went nuts, like he went off, but then he had the shoulder, and we didn't see him the rest of the year. Remember? I mean, so these are the issues: injuries, conditioning. And Billy again brings up a great point in the chat. He says, in regards to the defense and the scheme, he says, "Who do you want as D coordinator if Knowles doesn't work out?" It's just like if Ryan Day's on the hot seat, who's your next option? Same thing. Who is the next man on your short list?
Exactly. I mean, exactly. I mean, that's what I was saying earlier. Like those other big programs that they had a couple of years where they couldn't beat the rival, so then they just start throwing, who's the hottest name this year? We're gonna get him, then we're gonna buy out this guy. We're gonna buy out this guy. And then Texas, like Shawn, I brought up Texas and Florida just as two examples of, they burned through 3 or 4 coaches in a 6-7 year period, and then their recruiting drops off. And now these guys they're building their way back up. Maybe both of them finally found the guy that they need. But we can't afford to do that. Ohio State doesn't have those years. When's the last time we went 9-3? I don't remember. I'm sure we did in my life. I know it might have been the 90s though, or 2000.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, I think Ryan Day is the answer as our head coach. I think Jim Knowles, because Ryan Day said he is, I'm going to go with Jim Knowles as being the right guy for the defense.
I do too. I mean, the defense to me,
we better fucking see it though. We got to see it.
He was good. except when it wasn't.
Well,
You know.
Okay. Well, Shawn, see, I have a hard time saying that sentence out loud. We weren't good when we needed them. When we really needed them
When
to
I
get
needed
us
you
down
the
to
most,
stop
you
or
gave me your
something.
very worst.
You needed
Right.
them all year to get you there. But yeah, they got but to me it works. They just didn't execute how they should have. And yeah, I'm with you. I'm not going anywhere on Jim Knowles, and I wouldn't expect him again unless he gets blown out in Michigan and then in a bowl game. I wouldn't expect him to be on the
I'll
hot
make this
seat.
statement right now, Joe. I'll make this statement in May. I don't know, it's May 20th or 21st, whatever. I have more confidence right now in May that Jim Knowles will have. I have more confidence in Jim Knowles getting us a top 10 defense than I do in Kyle McCord being a first round draft pick type, elite level college quarterback.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So looking at our defense,
then we got problems.
Well,
we got problems.
I don't know. I'm just saying. Right now, that's my take. I got more confidence in Jim Knowles getting that defense to a top 5, top 10 level than I do with Kyle McCord.
Well, I've seen the defense be bad. I haven't seen Kyle McCord be bad. I haven't seen evidence
Kyle
of
McCord
that.
win a job either.
Yeah. Okay. See, that's the thing. That's where I'm at.
Gifted to him. Like if he was the guy and he was Fields, there wouldn't be like, well, we got an open competition. He would be the guy.
All right, hold up.
But he's not.
Let me come back to that. Shawn. We got a question about people want Jeff Hafley back as defensive coordinator, and the guy he's still a head coach as of right now.
Yeah,
but
we're not getting
Jeff Hafley looked really good because he had Jeff Okudah and Chase Young on his defense. You look really fucking good when that's your front end and your back end.
Yeah, he had a lot of pros. Baron Browning and Shaun Wade was a nickel, and Damon Arnett was a first-round pick.
He did not recruit them either, by the way.
No, he just ran. He just ran the right
said
scheme
about Georgia. When you got the dudes, kind of any scheme works.
That's it. I mean, he got credit. He got credit for
it does, but I'm not. Yeah, I don't think Hafley is the. I think people always want to go back to somebody that was successful and like bring them in again. It's like, wait. We're not bringing back coaches that were here, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. You got to keep moving forward. And
I don't know though if Hafley got busted out of his job now, why not fucking throw it out there and say, hey, you want to come back here if you had an opening? I mean, some people are
a good defensive coordinator. People got to stop trying to change everything all the time. You got to give a guy a fucking minute. Jesus, this is what frustrates me a lot with you guys, Buckeye fans in general. You want to keep changing things. Keep changing. If you stop changing and give a guy a fucking minute to get his scheme installed with the players that get this scheme and install it and are comfortable with it, then you might see some success. If you're going to change the scheme every year, you're not going to see consistency.
What fan or person is asking for that?
What? Yeah, Joe. Are you talking about people?
A lot of Buckeye fans. I'm seeing it.
Okay. Well, my response to that would be, Jeff Hafley is a head coach now. He left being a defensive coordinator with us to take a head coaching job in the ACC. He's not coming back down to be a D coordinator at another Power 5 school. Now, if in 3-4 years he is available and Jim Knowles either 1 retires or 2 kind of burns out on the scheme and we see the deficiencies in our defense for the next 3, like I said, I don't know what his contract is. 3-4 years or whatever. If in that time, I would love to invite Jeff Hafley back. If he's, if he comes back to be a D coordinator or is on the market for being a D coordinator and Knowles is gone and it was proven that Knowles wasn't the fit we thought he was. But that's a 3-4 year thing looking down the road. Because I like Jeff Hafley. I liked everything about him. But no, I'm not. But that's the difference between, I guess, what you're seeing, Joe, is Buckeye fans. Yeah, like what Travis was saying. So you can't switch your scheme or switch your coordinator every 2 years because there's no consistency and recruiting falls. That's where recruiting
so
flips.
Joe, where do you stand on? It looks like we're getting rid of the jack. That's a switch.
Yeah, positive move.
But switching
Jack
schemes.
Sawyer, that was a crime against Jack Sawyer last year to have him playing, excuse me, the dumbass Jack position, taking
He
his
said the wrong
hand
guy
out of
there.
the dirt. Yeah,
It was just the wrong guy.
but
The position's not
you-
bad. It's in defenses, but it's the wrong guy,
Right.
the wrong fit.
Yeah, I wanted to mention, Steven, I see your comment in the chat about Jeremiah Smith. I'll get to that in a sec, I promise. But I'm going to finish this point that it's not a big deal. But we were talking about the jack position. You have to take a D end off the field in order to bring in that jack. And that's what Jack Sawyer was doing. He was stand up.
No, but now
He
you're
was stand
saying
up.
don't change the scheme, and now we're changing the scheme. So what
Oh,
do you want? Do you want us to change the
That's-
scheme, or do you not want us
That's
to change the
not
scheme?
that's not the same.
Sean, it's not a change in scheme. That was just that jack position, that stand up rover guy that can move around instead of having a hand down defensive end. That's all. That was just a like a little version.
It's a scheme. It's a scheme. We're changing it, and you have to. I'm not even saying it's a bad idea. Of course, it's a great idea.
I disagree with the statement you just made.
I think the scheme has to evolve always. I think Ryan Days does, and Knowles does.
I think it was like a hood ornament. It was just an add-on to the scheme. It was not the entire
Jim Knowles' defense,
the entire focus
obviously,
of the
because it
scheme.
didn't work.
Jim Knowles at Oklahoma State, Jim Knowles did not have the jack position and then a defense built around that position. He had that switch up to combat those, all the wide open spread offenses in the Big 12, just to bring more blitzes. As far as what I could tell, I mean, it was just a facet of his scheme. Whereas he's like, well, certain downs or certain situations, formations, whatever, I can have a guy that's flexible enough to drop off of the line and float him around, maybe get double pressure from the other side, maybe just float him in a passing lane, whatever. I don't think that's part of the scheme. I think he's just fine tuning.
So what is his scheme?
His overall scheme.
Isn't it where guys are positioned and where guys are playing and where guys are covering? Isn't that the scheme?
We should, you know what, Sean? I think me and you, we need to meet together, and we need to have the film in front of us, and we can kind of go back and forth and work all that out.
I hear what you're saying. I'm just playing like devil's advocate on it. Like
I know
you're always changing the scheme, but I know you're talking about not just changing the scheme in a guy's own system, but changing the whole scheme altogether and bringing a different guy in. That is certainly a different animal than what we're talking about. But the reality is this on Jim Knowles is I think he's going to be a badass too, and I think his defense is going to be solid. But let's just say that he shits the bed against Michigan again, and then in a bowl game or something. And after that, I think he starts to become a hot topic. And if he does it again the following year, then you're gone.
He's
because
out.
college football, it's too fast. You can't fucking wait around for nothing. Not when you're Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia. It needs to be now, and decisions need to be made. Right, wrong, or indifferent, you got to make moves.
No, I agree, Sean. If you're talking this year with the same shit we saw last year in big games, big plays happening against us, and then a third year, then I agree with you 100%. I don't think you give him a fourth.
I think Ryan Day would be 100% on that. He just say, hey, it isn't working out. Great guy. It's just not working out. We got to make a change.
That's an awful leap. That's an awful leap to see with the kids we have currently, and the recruiting classes coming in. It's a big leap to jog out 2 years. That's but I agree. If it's 2 more years of this the same defense we saw last year, they make a lot of great plays and a bunch of games we don't even need them to. And then they give up a bunch of big plays in the most important games. If that's a 3-year thing, then that's a pattern. You know what I mean? Then it's like, all right, because there's going to be different players in those positions making those same mistakes. So if it's different players, different talent levels, all making same mistakes or getting burnt the same way, giving up big plays the same way, not reading your keys the right way for 3 years, that is, you got to cut bait. You got to cut your losses, buy them out, and then you got to roll on. And hopefully that somebody else emerges that makes it easy. Hopefully somebody in house. But that's a long ways from just, us talking in May. Who's got more pressure on him? Knowles has more pressure on him this year, but I think it's all going to be corrected. And what comes in 2024? Who knows? We're gonna have a whole different roster. It's gonna look weird. We don't know who's leaving.
Knowles will leave Ohio State when he changes his mind and wants to be a head coach somewhere. That's when he's gonna leave, because they'll throw a ton of money at him. And hopefully we got him for at least 3 or 4 more years.
I don't. What's his contract, Joe? Do we know his contract? I don't. I could look it up here. Get the IT kids on it.
Sure, off the top of my head, I'm sure.
Is he a D coordinator?
3-year deal.
Isn't he a D coordinator type of guy though? Does he have head coach aspirations?
He's never had a
I think
head coaching
he's
job.
I don't think he wants to move up to a head coaching job.
He's
a 3-year deal.
He's 58 right now, so that's not. I mean, that's not old for coaching, but it's not one of the new hot and up and comers. You know what I mean? So I don't see him leaving for a D1 job that's not a Power 5 job. I think the only way he would leave would be if a top tier, like a top tier school, a top 20 school, came to him for a head coaching job, but he hasn't taken one yet, so I don't think he's gonna.
He's never shown any interest. We got a couple comments we need to get to. First off, Badass Buckeye says McCord needs experience first before we criticize him. Yes, thank you, Badass Buckeye. BAB, we will call you. That is exactly my point.
Nobody's criticizing him.
What do you mean? You bang on the fucking O-line left and right for the guys you haven't seen play. You criticize the shit out of them for not having any experience, and that's the criticism. He might be the next fucking Vincent Sliced Bread.
We didn't even talk about the O-line tonight.
I'm criticizing the lack of experience. Okay. And it's nothing personal on him, but it is what it is. I guess it's not a criticism on him. It's criticism on the state of our quarterback room, and it is what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Stephen Cherry, he has an off-topic question. Will Georgia flip Jeremiah Smith? I say no, 100% no, unless Brian Hartline or Ryan Day take another job elsewhere. And we've got a full 12 months for that to happen. So who knows? We've seen a lot of weird shit happen over a 12-month period. I don't think it happens. I think this staff is 100% locked in, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Jeremiah Smith will not flip to Georgia. I don't give a shit if Dylan Ravioli is their new quarterback or their left tackle. Doesn't matter.
You don't think the money could come in though? If they throw a big enough fucking bag of money in front of him?
Yeah.
I don't think Athens has that.
That's where it comes down to me. That's where I'm not as nearly as confident as you. Because I don't know the kid. I don't have a good sense of the kid where he's at as far as where his mind's at. Can a bag full of cash, literally $1 million in cash in a duffel bag, could that waiver him? I don't know. Fuck, man. At 18 years old, you give me $1 million I
get your point.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's what worries me, that Georgia could just get desperate if they don't think they're getting the as much warmth as they think. All right, well, fuck it. All right, last ditch effort. Show them the bag. Some dude shows up at the front door.
Let's back up a little bit, because let's analyze. Jeremiah Smith goes to Chaminade Madonna. It's a prep school, not cheap. It's a private school, Catholic school. So the need for a big bag up front is probably not.
Well, let me chime in here,
Okay.
just if I may, because I send my son to a Catholic school, and we do have a lot of good athletes that go to that school, and a lot of the good athletes don't pay. They're on scholarship at our school. They get it paid for out of different funds and things like that. So just because he goes to that school doesn't mean that he's coming from money, is all I'm saying.
And we don't know. We don't know I don't know his family. I don't know anything about him. I still have not heard an interview with him. So I've never even heard the kid talk. So you're right, Shawn. That was going to be my point. It's not likely that he has to be paying tuition at that school. As good of an athlete as he is. Now, whether he could or not, whether his family has the means or not, I don't know. I'm not speculating on anything like that. I'm just talking about an 18-year-old kid who everybody's been telling him how great he is for the longest time. And he looks online and people on the internet tell him, you're one of the top 3-4 players in the country. If somebody comes to you at that age with money, cash, I'm just saying, could that sway him? We don't know. I think that's what it would take to get him. I am confident that Hartline and Day have built the relationship, and he knows he's thinking becoming a pro. He's got his, he's seeing what those guys can do for him as far as making him an NFL receiver. But cash is a motherfucker. Everybody in the world knows that.
I understand.
Cash can make people do things.
It'll change the scenario somewhat, but again, Ohio State is selling, like Billy says in the chat, they're selling long-term income versus short. Yeah, you might make $1 million just to sign with Georgia, but what happens if you're not developed? I haven't seen Georgia develop a first-round receiver in a long time, if ever. So Ohio State has a pretty good track record, especially over the last 10 years. So
AJ Green was their last first-round draft pick, a receiver, and he is retired. So he played a long career and he's already gone. So George Pickens was a second or third round pick for Pittsburgh. He's going to be an NFL stud. But you're right. You're right. There's no
multiple receivers transfer out though, especially
a lot of talent. Yeah. Well, they oversigned and all that shit too.
If you're looking for the NFL, it's such a no-brainer to go to Ohio State, right? We put out dudes, and you got Brian Hartline
Shawn,
this offense that features this offense features those guys.
Yep. Yeah, it does. It does. But just think about the only thing I'm saying. The only thing that can hiccup in this is a duffel bag full of $100 bills.
We just got to make sure that Ohio State better be in that game too. I'm not so sure that we are, and I'm not so sure that we are. So, well, we will need to be. I'm with you, because if not, and yeah, $1 million is $1 million.
And
if Raiola's saying, "Hey, some of you boosters, I need you guys to kick in a little bit more because I need this fucking guy."
Exactly. That's how you get that duffel bag full of $1 million, $1.2 million, whatever. So, but yeah, Joe, I have confidence in him too with the relationship to Hartline and Day and what Ohio State can offer. I think that's just the only thing. And if I got to know the kid or something, or knew the kid, I might have a little better deal where I think he might lean. But shit, ain't none of us know. We hear interviews from guys on the recruiting specialists that interview these kids after a camp one day. We're getting a lot of canned answers. We're getting a lot of what they've been coached up to say. Oh, everybody's great. I'm looking around a bunch of schools, blah blah blah. Everybody's great. We're never going to know what these kids deal with when they're by themselves. Right. And dude talks about giving them cash money. We don't know how any of these kids react.
Okay. All right. Great show, guys. I think we nailed it down. And we decided nothing. No, I think we decided that for the most part, I think we agree that Ryan Day is not on the hot seat if he loses this year, but there better be something else. I think there has to be something else behind that. There better be like a trip to the championship or something. I don't know. we're going to have to figure that out. But I think one more year is the leash. Right. So appreciate everybody joining us. Want to remind you guys, we got Billy. Billy is the first member of the TBC Friends, and members only. You get members only recruiting videos, live streams, community posts, live chats. You get a free shirt from the BuckeyeCast.com. You get promo codes to buy more shirts from the BuckeyeCast.com. And I've got a special show coming up this week. Excuse me. That bourbon was a little rough. Oh, that was harsh. Anyways, got a special show coming up this week. Want to keep you guys kind of on the edge of your seat for that one. I'm calling it Buckeyes and Bikinis. So let your mind go with that, and hopefully I can meet your expectations. So like I said, join the TBC Friends membership, get your members only videos, live content, hit the posts, all that shit, get your free shirt, if nothing else. And it's only through YouTube. It's all in this platform, so you don't have to go out to another website or shit like that. So appreciate everybody joining us. Jeff and Shawn, appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And go Bucks.